Hey, have a draft avatar for this video because I thought it was appropriate. We're talking about hot anime men, so I might as well be a hot anime man myself. Anyway, for the longest time in Hololive's history, males have always been NG. In fact, ever since they were conceptualized, the first Holostars JP members were absolutely terrified to debut. And that was because of the girls' established fanbase. Some of the Stars members have experienced death threats and concern andying, and others nearly gave up, if not for Shinove and the fucking CEO Yago himself comforting and encouraging them. Some Hololive girls like Fubuki were very supportive of the boys, and everyone else was... well, they pretty much stayed away from them in fear of the fans. And while we have seen some good strides and progression in the general community nowadays, the sentiment hasn't fully gone away. Some people, even in the EN side of things, absolutely hate the idea of having males and having them publicly interact with the girls. And right now, we are going to talk about that because nowhere is that more evident than in the recent Holostars generation. Holostars has been pumping out more members than Holo EN did female members. For reference, in only a year and a half in its conception, Holostars has launched 3 waves. Meanwhile, in Hololive, in literally 3 years, has also launched 3. There's also the recent drama. I'm going to assume most of you are aware by now, but the Stars Army's debut have been plagued by some individuals who thought that Gerard especially were going a bit too ham on Twitter, which is not something you'd want for your debut. It's been associated by many to be the reason why the first debuts had numbers that weren't as high as the second day. The first day debuts being Gerard and Goldbullet, while the second having Octavio and Ruse. Gerard being of course again the subject of many people's ire. Also, yes, I know it's pronounced Ruse, but I'm pronouncing it as Ruse because that's the pronunciation I've decided in my head, and I don't think they'd be offended over it. Although I'd correct myself if they were. Anyway, so if you didn't know, Gerard over here got into a bit of drama, all because of these jokes over here, and you know what? I think the jokes were pretty funny for the most part, especially the whole Discord kitten bit with Iron Mouse and the putang ina banter with Kobo. That shit was, I think, very hilarious. But I can see why a lot of people were upset. I don't share the same kind of humor as others, and I'm going to try my best to understand that. There was also the fact that H-Chan and he made an entire gag about potentially being in Holotori. He also replied to me in a tweet, but then had to delete it because I'm NG, and more recently, he admitted that he had an insider inside Hololive, and essentially had that person help him throughout the audition process. But talking about these is not what I'm here for. In fact, he made an entire joke apology over on his channel, and you know what? I think that's pretty based. Anyway, that's not what I'm here for. What I'm here for is the no males allowed policy that a lot of Hololive fans have. I'm here to talk about the challenges males here face, basically, and its effect on the Hololive community. Because it's very much a vocal sect of the fanbase, and they're pretty much the reason why a lot of people are afraid of interacting with other Hololive members. Like, the Holostars members have the fear of God instilled in them if they'd stray from their lane, quote-unquote. Many Holostars members have already spoken about their worries of the fanbase, and I think that's a very unfortunate thing to have. It limits potential collab opportunities, public relationships, and makes the boys feel unwelcome in a place where they should be normally welcome, because it's their workplace. This doesn't just apply to the boys, it also applies to the girls. Again, the reason why a lot of girls are not interacting with the boys is the fact that they're afraid of the fans. And, you know, especially recently what we've seen with the recent crony unicorn drama that happened some time ago, and I think that's unfortunate. Why do unicorns and gachikois do this, you may ask? Well, I've talked at length about the whole parasocial problem of VTubers. It's not a thing exclusive to Hololive because we've seen our fair share of agencies and VTubers outside Hololive that got affected by the negative aspects. But it's one problem that's very much concentrated here compared to others because of its branding of female idols. In idol culture, not just in Japan but pretty much everywhere else, the idols have to absolutely appeal to their followers' emotions and be absolutely parasocial. They know what they're doing, but while Hololive doesn't necessarily deceive their fanbase, the girls feel pressured by the culture and the fans to put on an appearance that they're either single, is emotionally unavailable, or isn't looking for men at the moment, or have to pretend that they're gay and Yuri bait. You put males into the mix and we have obvious problems. Some people do not actually mind the males, but want them to be segregated and not included in the Hololive stuff. But there are some unicorns that think sharing the same agency in Hololive is like them sharing the same houses. It gives off this irrational fear that the idol is now vulnerable to potentially having a good relationship with a male, and that it could in turn develop into something more. But while that's one reason, it's not exactly the biggest reason, I would think. I think the reason why many people are against this is more so because it changes the relationship dynamics between the VTubers and the agency itself. It challenges the status quo, telling them that there will be changes that they may not like. That is a general fear, actually, one that I think all human beings have. When we know that this certain comfort or familiarity may no longer feel so comforting or familiar in the future, it triggers an almost hostile reaction to prevent that from happening. It's the fear of change, essentially. Just that here in VTubing, more specifically Hololive, the men represent that hard pivot. In a way, I actually do get it. Of course, that's not the only reason why Holostars is performing relatively not good compared to Hololive or is difficult to accept by established fans, because the other reason is Hololive's branding. For a long time, Hololive has almost exclusively marketed itself as a female-centric agency, and that's still true, with Holostars being put in the back burner and being sold separately, often leading to abysmal marketing results and almost a feeling that they were abandoned. Females were the niche Hololive found itself selling the best. But with the current turning point in EN VTubing right now, with many male VTubers turning up, they most likely did not want to pigeonhole themselves into producing females and appealing only to males. They'd want to appeal to as many people as possible, so they can include many opportunities and more IPs to have in the future. And this makes sense. Hololive has stated that they want to be an IP holder similar to Disney, and only utilizing females with this goal in mind is going to be quite limiting. By doing this, you quite literally exclude an entire demographic, and I don't think that's good for business. And it's cool that we've seen a shift in that, in my opinion. There has been more attention and recognition Holostars has had for the last year since Tempus than there were since their entire inception. Purely in the financial aspect, this is a decision that makes the most sense for Hololive if they want to achieve their goal of being an IP holder entity. Ultimately, I can see some good and bad things happening if Hololive's decision-making turns out to be short-sighted and purely profits, but their promotion of the Holostars boys isn't one of these decisions. This isn't just a means to be profitable, it is also a means to make the boys that they've had feel relevant. They have to open themselves up eventually to as many markets as they can. It's actually more so a long-term plan with some short-term pains. Those pains, of course, being the absolute seething of unicorns and people that are uncomfortable with the changes. And yeah, that's really about it. I just wanted to talk about this. I felt like a topic like this should be in the main channel, but hey, fuck it. I'd have to put up an incentive for people to watch my content in the second channel, right? Like and subscribe, please. If there are topics that you want me to talk about, leave it down below. I'm out, Ski.